Welcome to CC Writes, where we explore good stories and how they're made. Today, it is story time, and I'm going to share with you what I have so far in my nano novel. The Foxton's Gentleman Club was a grimy little building tucked between two skyrises at the edge of downtown Esperanza. On the brick face, someone had painted the silhouette of a nude woman in heels with her back against a stripper pole. Over the years, the paint had faded and chipped away, making the woman's silhouette look more like a grimy memory of a police outline at a murder scene than anything else. Grace tried not to look at it. The D on the neon sign bearing the club's name flickered out. She reached for the door handle, then chickened out for the third time in the last 5 minutes. "You can do this. It's just a job." After 5 months of looking for work after graduation, Grace was desperate. Her student loans were about to come due. Business manager at a strip club is still a business manager no matter how you look at it. Her eyes landed on the silhouette of the naked woman again, and she quailed. "Maybe I could work from home?" "Are you going to talk to yourself out here all day, or are you going in?" Grace jumped and scrambled out of the way of the skyscraper of a woman who waited impatiently behind her. "I'm so sorry." Grace frantically brushed her hair with shaking fingers. The woman looked her up and down with a quirked smile on her full, dark lips. "Sorry, sweetie, but we don't open for another hour. But come by later and I'll give you a special service." She winked, then disappeared through the doors. Grace blushed so hard the street might have caught on fire if they weren't hardy Texan roads. She pressed her face against the red brick building and tried, ineffectively, to disappear. After a few deep breaths and several pep talks, she composed herself once more. At least nothing could possibly be more humiliating than that. She grabbed the door handle firmly and pulled the door open. Inside, the building was just as run down as the outside. The fabric on dark red lounge chairs frayed at the edges. Spots of discoloration dotted nearly every chair with mystery substances that Grace prayed to God were spilled drinks. Only the bar area was lit with normal white light. Everything else was dark and covered in the soft pink glow of neon lights. Grace carefully picked her way down a set of steps and through the lounge area. At the center of the room was a wide circle stage with a stripper pole. A catwalk connected the center stage with the larger one at the other end of the room. It was backed by black velvet curtains that no doubt covered a prep area with dressing rooms for the strippers. She expected music to blare and strippers to litter the stage as they practiced lewd dance moves, but the lounge and bar area were completely empty. It was a few minutes early for her interview, but she had no idea where to find Mr. Nilsson, the man she'd spoken to earlier that day about the job. She almost sat down to wait, but then thought better of it. Instead, she stood with plenty of distance from any of the surfaces of the room and clutched her purse close to her waist. A door next to the main stage swung open. Women shouted, their voices tangling together angrily in the wake of a handsome man with sandy blonde hair. "Yeah, I'm working on it. Give me a break." He slammed the door shut, cutting off the voices that assaulted him. He stood glaring at the door, then shook his head and reached down inside his white canvas pants to scratch his balls. Grace cringed. After a moment, the man turned around and saw her staring. His hand came quickly out of his pants. "Hey, you my next interview?" He walked around a short subdivider and stepped into the lounge. The closer he got, the more handsome he looked, with a close-cropped and well-groomed beard, his slender yet well-muscled frame. The effect was ruined by the deck shoes and floral button-up t-shirt he wore. Between that and the series of gold chains that hung from his neck, he looked like a Floridian mobster. "Are you Mr. Nelson?" She hoped he wasn't. She didn't want to have to shake his hand. "That's me." He stood in front of her, just a head taller than her scant 5-foot 2-inch frame. Out came his hand to shake. Well, that's what hand sanitizer is for. Grace took his hand and shook it quickly, plastering what she hoped was a pleasant smile across her face. "Nice to meet you, Mr. Nelson. My name is Graciela Marroquin. You can call me Grace." "Grace, thanks for coming in." He pointed to a couple of lounge chairs nearby with a small round table between them. "Please, have a seat." There were streaks of something across the seat of the chair, dried and hardened. Dark spots speckled the surface, and bits of stuffing peeked out where the parts of the fabric were worn completely thin. Grace tried not to gag, then gingerly sat down at the table. She kept her purse in her lap. Nilsson casually dropped into the other chair, perfectly at home. "I have to say, you seem a bit overqualified. I'm not used to people sending in resumes. Usually they just walk in and ask for a job. It's kind of nice to feel respected." Inside his pockets, one of his hands started inching toward his balls again. Grace kept her eyes glued to his face. "I prefer to handle myself with a little more professionalism." "That's good, I guess," he laughed. "Professionalism, right. So how's your salesmanship?" "I'm sure you saw on my resume, while I was working toward my master's in business, I did an internship with eMag. I interned under the sales department, so I learned a lot about making sales, organizing shipments, and developing client relationships." "So you're good at customer service, then? I always tell my girls that's what this business is all about." Nilsson laughed. "Of course, they think I'm full of shit. Well, whatever. If they knew better than me, they'd be the ones running this crap hole, am I right?" He laughed again. "Right. Grace tried not to purse her lips. "Anyway, I have a letter of reference from my supervisor at eMag." She dug around her purse to get the envelope. She'd printed out 60 copies of the letter her last boss emailed as a reference. The letter was an apology for not hiring her on full-time at the magazine. But at least it was something. "No, I don't need that," Nilsson waved her off. The multitude of rings on his fingers winked in the neon glow of the dark room. "My last girl, Cherry, was a good seller. Best I've ever seen. I hated to lose her. Sales here aren't like what you'd see at your fancy magazine, but I'm sure some of it carries over. Do you dance?" Grace blinked. The sudden change of subject threw her off her game. "Yes, I guess." "You guess or you do?" "I do. I was in show choir in high school. I took a hip-hop class in undergrad." Nilsson nodded. "Do you think you could do choreography?" "If I had to, probably." "It's a requirement. Huge part of what we do is the dancing, and I need someone who can manage that. Lord knows I can't teach anyone to dance. 3 left feet." He stood up and held out his hand again. "Well, Grace, job is yours if you want it." Grace popped out of the chair. "Seriously? You'll hire me?" "Sure. When Cherry got pregnant, I thought I'd never be able to replace her. Can you start tonight?" "Tonight?" "Yeah, she had an hour-long slot at 6. That's prime time for the working crowd." He glanced around the room, eyes swiveling over distasteful nude portraits on the walls and neon signs advertising lap dances, alcohol, and private rooms. "If you need extra time to work out your dance routine, I can give it. The other girls will be upset, but they can survive another night or two covering Cherry's shift." Wait, my dance routine?" Grace ran a hand through her hair. "What do you mean?" "I told you, a big part of what we do here is dancing. You can get a lot of lap dances based off of a good routine, and lap dances is where you'll make most of your money." "Why would a business manager need to do lap dances?" Grace was disgusted. Nilsson went still. He watched her face for a moment. Right. No, a business manager wouldn't need to give lap dances. A stripper gives lap dances. Exactly. So why would I need to make money off of it? Nilsson raised an eyebrow. Because I'm not hiring you as a business manager. I'm the manager. What I need is a stripper. He gestured to her, sweeping his hand suggestively down the length of her body. I'm not a stripper. I'm a business professional. She lifted her chin and glared at him. What on earth made you think I wanted to be a stripper? You sounded pretty desperate on the phone, Nilsson shrugged. So you don't want the job then? Of course I don't want the job. I'm not going to take my clothes off for a bunch of horny strangers, you massive pervert. Grace took a few steps back, appalled. Right. Well, let me know if you change your mind. At a loss for words, Grace spun on her heel and stormed away. She tripped up the stairs on her way out, but caught herself before she could fall. As soon as she was outside, she took a deep breath and then screamed furiously. People in the street jumped and gave her a wide berth. Their eyes were round and wary, worried that she might attack at any moment. Grace didn't feel like attacking. She felt like crying. She stood in place with her eyes closed and fumed for a good long while. Once the fury faded to a more manageable level, she walked away. As if I would change my mind. What a sleazeball. Thank you for watching CC Writes. If you enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to like and subscribe, and also hit the bell so you can get notified when new videos come out. If you have any specific writing topics you'd like me to cover, go ahead and leave a comment below, and I'll go over as many subjects as I can. And if you want more content from me, then you can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at @CCLepkeWrites. My books are also available through Amazon.com. You can find them easily just by searching CC Lepke. Thanks again for watching, and have a good week!